Welcome to my Wellness Rewired, Hacking Women's Health. Join Larissa and Malerie as they explore biohacking tips for women based on the latest science and research available today. Let them help you unlock your best self. It's time to hack smarter, not harder, together.
Yep. All right, ladies. Today is an exciting episode. Today we are going to talk all things green. So we are going to talk about the green drink challenge that we've been posting and we've done in our community, Facebook community, which has been very fun. And we'll highlight that and we will reveal the big results from that. And then we're going to talk about our gut biome and why it's a game changer biohack for women. And this is something that I really didn't know a lot about. And I naturally have always loved fruits and vegetables and a wide variety of food. So I guess it hasn't really impacted me immediately, but learning more about it and how it has impacted so many other people has really been interesting. And it's made me very aware of what the good habits I have, and then also habits that I need to alter to improve my microbiome even more. So it's really interesting. So we're going to talk about our biome and the connection and the villains that hurt it and the things that feed it and fuel it and make it even better.
Yeah, this one's a fun one because I've heard that word before, gut microbiome, but I just never really gave it a lot of weight. I was like, oh, sure. Okay. Like there's good bacteria. They probably need some food. It's probably fine. Right. Turns out that's not true. Okay, guys. And there's a lot of things in our life that messes with it. And so it's basically like an army in there that's trying to keep you doing well, and you're really not giving it any resources to do so. So that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah. So those fries that you ate when you're in high school, not helpful.
Yeah. Ice cream cone with a French fry did not do me any favors. But it was freaking delicious. So let's talk about this for a second. The gut microbiome is trillions of microbes, mostly bacteria, in the intestines of your body that literally digests foods, produces vitamins, regulates your immune system, and communicates with the brain via the gut-brain axis. There's also something called, I think, like the gut-skin axis when we were doing this research. It really has something to do with your entire body. Basically, people are starting to call it like it's like another organ in your body, but it's not actually, right? It's instead of being like human cells, it's trillions of bacteria that is basically your buddy, like your bouncer, it does everything. Let's be real.
Dr. Hyman calls it your second brain.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. It's so true. And it really kind of is because, I mean, and we'll go into all of the things that it does for women's health, but it is crazy how much it's in charge of as far as giving your body the things that it needs to be happy and to have energy and to fight off infections, your immune system. It's insane. And to quote Dr. Casey Means, she says, your gut lining is a boundary between you and everything else in the universe that is poised to inundate and overwhelm your biology and generate unrelenting inflammation. She puts it so well. Healing and strengthening your gut lining with food, therefore creating and strengthening this critical boundary and reducing intestinal permeability or leaky gut allows you to be selective about what you want to take in from the universe on a material level. You can choose what serves you. And I love that quote.
I didn't realize, because people talk a lot about leaky gut. I've heard that several times throughout our life. And even before, our sister really had it, and then she really had to figure out how to overcome it. But it is interesting how your body can be having signals all over your body, and you can go to the specialist for this, and you can go to the doctor for this, and it can all be different parts of your body, but really it all stems from your gut, a leaky gut, where the trash is leaving your stomach when it's not supposed to be, and it's going all throughout places in your body that it shouldn't be, and it is having repercussions from it.
Yeah, it's all about inflammation. Like we've talked about in so many ways how that's detrimental to our body. And it turns out our gut microbiome is such a huge player in reducing inflammation and preventing inflammation. So one of those things is the gut lining, right? And so things can get through and cause inflammation by getting to the wrong places in our body. And it can be very detrimental for sure.
But I'm positive it can also be fixed.
Yes, that's the amazing thing is the gut microbiome is really so resilient. Like it can bounce back from so many things. So it's not like we're talking about, oh, you eat terrible and it's permanent damage. But depending how long it's been since you've had like a fruit or a vegetable, it might take you a little longer than other people. That's all. This is a funny story. When I first married my husband, and I made him dinner. I wanted to learn how to cook, so I was like experimenting in the kitchen, and I served him a plate that had green beans on it, and he was like, "Oh, I don't eat vegetables." I was like, "What?
Who doesn't eat vegetables?"
No, and it's so funny because now he loves vegetables. But it was hilarious how much that was. He was like, "No, I don't eat vegetables." But you know what? His brothers say it all the time, and I'm like, "Dude, you got to start eating some vegetables."
At least he's leveled up himself.
Yes, he's come a long way. I'm so proud of him.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so let's talk about first, because this is the best part, is why this matters to women and why we think that improving and taking care of your gut microbiome is a biohack. Here's the thing, is if you have a healthy gut microbiome, if it's balanced and strong and being fed correctly, then it's going to create a hormonal harmony in your body, right? It's going to help you recycle the estrogen that you need to be. The ability to recycle your estrogen is going to mean that your periods are going to be a lot smoother. There's not going to be cramps, PMS rage, wild mood swings. That sort of stuff is happening when you're not recycling estrogen like you need to. So your body's not detoxing like it needs to be when it's going through its cycles. And so a healthy gut microbiome is going to really help with that. That's huge.
And so many women go through it in perimenopause and menopause. So if you really could balance your hormones and through the gut, then that will help all of that transition go so much smoother.
Well, and plus, like they say, like there's a lot of studies linking PCOS to like a dysbiosis of your gut microbiome. And so it can actually be contributing to developing PCOS. So that's something that's still being studied, but those are related, which is crazy.
Well, because the more we're finding out about the gut and what it contributes to, I bet there's so much more that we don't even know yet.
It's in everything. I mean, we've done the skin and the hair and nails episodes already, and the gut microbiome came up in those conversations already and in that research, which is kind of how we ended up here. So the next thing that it does is that your gut microbiome actually makes more serotonin than your brain does. And to remind everybody, the serotonin is your happy chemical, right? That's what makes you feel happy. So it's crazy. And I think that this is part of the reason, Larissa, why they call it the second brain. It's creating more serotonin than your brain actually is. And so a happy gut means you're going to have a calmer brain, you're going to have better sleep, and you're going to have a more stable mood.
Well, then when we talked about whole foods versus processed foods, this also came up because they found the studies with kids. The food, the average American diet is so much processed foods with seed oils and all that stuff, and that all hurts their biome. And so it's making a lot of kids anxious, and anxiety levels have escalated in kids. And that's the study I was thinking of. But this relates to that, because if it's going to do it in kids, it's also going to do it in us. So we have to really, really watch what we eat in our biome so that it helps with our moods and we can have lower anxiety and lower stress.
I really do feel like as a society, we all do seem a lot more anxious. It's a lot, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that is a thing.
And I don't think that we realize we have control over it.
Oh, I know. Such a beautiful thing. This is empowering. So empowering.
And the good bacteria also nudges your metabolism, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So it really does help you feel fuller, and it helps you burn fat more efficient, and it has less bloating, and it's easier to stay steady without starving. So it's really good for your glucose levels and all of that. So that is really inspiring.
I think that it's so interesting because they always talk about like a great way to, because we're looking into doing the continuous glucose monitors. And they talk about if you have more fiber in your diet, it helps you keep your glucose steadier. So I really feel like this might all tie together, right? That because the fiber feeds your gut microbiome, right? And so then that helps you manage your blood sugar levels better. Like it all is just a rich tapestry.
Literally.
Yeah.
And it will also help your skin, like we covered in our skin and hair episode. The gut takes the vitamin B and D from your food, and it helps prevent acne, and it helps prevent dry patches, and gives you kind of that glow instead of being dull, and it helps inflammation drop. And so all of that kind of works together. When they say that you see somebody with acne, it's usually because their microbiome in their stomach is not healthy.
Yeah. I mean, it all ties together yet again. Your hormones get out of whack. You get acne because your gut microbiome's out of whack. Like they all work together as a team. I did think it was interesting that they grab vitamins like B and D from food. Like that's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
The other thing that they do along the same lines is they help you absorb calcium and vitamin D, which gives you stronger bones, right? And so this is super key once you get into your 30s and into your 40s when estrogen starts to dip and you start to have to, beyond that, think about osteoporosis. Like really keeping a healthy gut microbiome is going to help you keep strong bones like going forward. Okay, the next thing is that having a healthy gut microbiome, and this one is huge to me, is it can be an immune shield for you. 70% of your body's defenses live in your gut. That's an insane number if you really think about it. So a stronger microbiome equals fewer colds, fewer UTIs, fewer yeast infections. It's basically your body's bouncer is what it is.
So do you think that there is a connection between people who are on, what is that called? You know, when the doctor gives you
antibiotics?
Thank you. When the doctor gives you like the antibiotics, like if that is correlated with UTIs and yeast infections because it's killing the good and the bad bacteria, right? So then is that correlated?
It's absolutely correlated. In fact, some doctors will prescribe like an antifungal alongside an antibiotic for women specifically, because some women are just very likely to develop a yeast infection following an antibiotic treatment. And I bet it's because antibiotics just go in and kill everything, good and bad. And so you have to rebuild the good intentionally, but that's a vulnerable time.
And if you don't intentionally do that, then it exposes you to other setbacks.
Yep, it absolutely does. So it explains a lot. I really think because we went to some doctors who were very antibiotic happy, they just prescribed it for everything. And so I feel there was a number of years where we were doing a lot of things as a family that was not good for our gut microbiome. And then we would catch everything. We were sick all the time. And I really think that those two things are related. And so understanding how much of my defenses are in my gut is huge for me. That's been a big change for me this year, that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is something I can actually do to maybe not be the family that catches everything.
Yeah.
So that's the hope anyway. We'll see.
Well, hopefully you get better, and then every year your microbiomes get stronger and stronger and stronger, and then you'll get less and less.
Yeah, but that's where like knowledge is power. If I have no idea why my immune system's struggling, it's frustrating because I'm taking all my vitamins. I'm taking vitamin C and I'm taking whatever those drinks are that are like supposed to boost your immune system, doing all these things. But if my gut microbiome isn't fed or even doesn't exist strongly enough to protect me, then those things aren't going to do very much.
Yeah, it's almost like wasted energy.
Yeah, which I think is what I've been doing for like 5 years now, which is crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think that's realistic. I think a lot of us are like that, and we don't understand what we should be doing. And so we're trying all these things that we might see or hear somebody else talk about, and not really understanding the full picture, that we have to start with the basics first and then build up from that.
Yes. Yep. And this is such a missing piece for me that I'm like, oh my gosh, it like locked in. And I'm like, duh, this is something I can do that's not even that hard. And it can make a huge difference. I feel like this is going to be a turning point, honestly.
One more thing that we talked about is the benefits is that most people get a crash in the afternoons, like a midday crash, and they want to take a nap or
nap time,
anything like that. So when your gut is out of alignment, then that's when you really get that crash and you feel foggy. So if you have a good microbiome, then you should not feel foggy. You should feel zippy, because it's the bad bugs are stealing the nutrients out of your stomach lining, and that's what causes a crash. So if you had good bugs in there that's feeding, or if you're feeding the good bugs and so it's overpowering, you'll feel energized instead of foggy, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And the other thing that I thought was fascinating is that a healthy gut microbiome even tweaks how you handle stress, which means that if you're more resilient to stress because of a healthier gut microbiome, you've got the serotonin production, you've got, all these things that are working for you, you're less likely to stress eat, you're less likely to be snappy. And so it just can even help with all of the chronic stress that so many of us struggle with.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that is interesting. So the microbiomes are also, I love this analogy, villains. So the villains to our microbiome is there's a lot. And when we were going over this, I was kind of overwhelmed by how many there are that are really villains to our perfect microbiome.
Yeah, these are the things that are around us that are actively
harming,
shrinking or attacking our gut microbiome. And so it's a constant power struggle, I feel like, that we're going through, but we do it to ourselves for a lot of it. So the first, obviously, is sugar and junk food.
Yeah.
Which this is hard. Soda, candy, fast food, sugary things. They feed the bad bugs. So you're actually, instead of feeding the good bacteria, you're feeding the bad bacteria. And they're going to crowd out all the good ones. And so it's literally fertilizing weeds in your garden, and they kill and starving your flowers.
Do you know what came to my mind when I heard you say that? I saw a kid's birthday party, because what do you have at a kid's birthday party? All the sugar and all the horrible things. And I'm like, what are we doing to our kids? But that's the first thing that popped in my mind when you read that, was I visualized a kid's birthday party.
I read somewhere that they did a test on a popular candy. They were talking about how there was an unhealthy level of arsenic found in it.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm glad I never buy these for my kid. And then I come into the kitchen and my daughter's eating them at that exact moment. I was like, where did you get those? And they had, their Valentine's Day party, and she got it from one of the kids. And I was like, dude, it's crazy how much kids have access to sugar, and it's the worst kind.
And we promote it. Not only we know that they have little bodies, and so really that impacts them even more. But yeah, it's a special occasion. You can have it. You can do it. But then there's a special occasion for everything: Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas. There's all the holidays. Oh, it's a end of the year party. It's an end of a sports year party. There's every event, and then the adults don't eat that. It's the kids who have smaller bodies, and it impacts them even more.
I know, it's so crazy to think about.
But anyway, sorry, that was literally what came to my mind when you read that.
Yep.
So sorry.
Not to be depressing or anything. Sorry, guys. We're also not being judgy, because literally I went into the kitchen and my daughter was eating them. I'm just trying to recognize how detrimental sugar is. You know what I mean? And as a household, we're trying to make that switch to less toxic options as far as it goes with your gut microbiome and your blood sugar management and general nutrition.
And I'm really trying to make this shift in my mind that they're young and little, and I'm the adult.
Yeah.
I should not buy it for them. And if it's not okay for me, it should be okay for them.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's a process. It's a process.
It is. Indeed it is. And unfortunately, the next item on the villains list is artificial sweeteners. So we're really it's a 1-2 punch here. We're talking about aspartame, sucralose. Studies are showing that they do shift your microbiome towards the inflammation side versus the anti-inflammation side. And so that, again, inflammation is a problem in our body, chronic inflammation. That's one of the things that adds to it. So we really have to be careful about use of that too.
And by artificial sweeteners, is that also the type of sweeteners that is in all fat-free food?
A lot of them. It depends on the artificial sweetener. I really don't think it's all of them, because I think stevia is considered a beneficial artificial sweetener. I know that there's a couple of them, and monk fruit, I think, also was. So there's just so many different kinds. Dr. Casey Means was talking about how many chemicals have been created and introduced to the market in the last 30 years. It's hundreds. And so there's just so many of them. You really have to be careful and, again, do the research. But it is where that Yuka app is still very useful, because it will flag the harmful ones. So it does help.
I know. My friend Casey is so funny. She literally texted me right before we did this, and she's all excited because on Yuka she scanned something and it got 100%. And it gives a score from 1 to 100. I think it was rice cakes or something, got 100 on it. Because I told her, I was like, I've never seen anything that's 100. That's not like a whole food, right? Usually if it's a whole food, it gets 100. But if it's processed food, it's usually very rarely 100. And so it was so funny. She was all excited that she found something that was 100.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how many things there are. But it is nice that we are now finding tools to help us navigate such a crazy world that we live in.
I agree.
The next one is processed meats. And this one surprised me. Things like bacon, hot dogs, deli stuff, deli meats, things like that are loaded with like nitrates and nitrites and all those types of preservatives that preserve the meat also kill off your friendly bacteria and can crank up the inflammation. So I had no idea.
I know. I never realized because I love deli meat. So I feel like I was eating healthy, when I was eating deli meats, but apparently that's like a turkey sandwich. I thought that was, but I do wonder because I know that there are some deli meats you can get that are like nitrate and nitrite free. And I wonder if there is a safe version or not. I only say that because there is a turkey deli meat at Costco that I found that scored well on Yuka. So I don't know if there's but I still don't know how that works for your gut microbiome. So I got to research that more. Well, because I do know that bacon and hot dogs, you can find some that are nitrate free. You just have to, they're usually more expensive, but they're better for your gut and they're not killing off the friendly bacteria. So
hopefully we'd have to look into the other preservatives, right?
That's true. So it could be good in one area, not good in another area.
Yeah. It's a whole other level to think about that is like, dang it.
Yeah.
I thought I had this figured out.
So the next one is antibiotics. And this is, a killer for me because it includes even the sinus infection ones. And I have always had sinus issues my whole life. And I could say no to antibiotics. I actually don't take antibiotics for anything. Very rarely. I can count on one hand how many times I've taken antibiotics in my whole entire life.
Wow.
So I thought, check for me until I read that it says also sinus infections, which that is not the case because I probably get a sinus infection once or twice a year. So it's interesting, I do well in one area, but not in the other areas. So that was a bummer, but they literally nuke everything in you. So it's like 30 to 50%, depending on the strain, good or bad, it ends up in a ghost town down there in your stomach. So it empties it all out, good or bad. And so then you're again exposed and you left it open. And so it's scary. Antibiotics are a blessing and a curse.
That's one that's hard for me because I have kids who are prone to ear infections and you got to do an antibiotic. Like here's the thing is, antibiotics are life-saving. That is a life-saving drug, but everything comes at a cost. And so I think if even just understanding the cost means that you can respond better, right? If you know what the side effects are, it's still worth doing when you're in that situation where you have an infection and you need an antibiotic. Of course, take care of it. That's a life-saving thing, but then understand what it's doing and compensate afterwards.
Or be preventative. If you know you're going to take it, then start with the prebiotics before you even take it.
Right. And even when I take my kids in and I get them on antibiotics for ear infections, the doctors are like, start putting them on a probiotic now. They're like, put it on, have them take them simultaneously, not at the same time, but if they take an antibiotic in the morning, midday, have them do a probiotic and then the antibiotic again at night, so that they're not competing with each other, like you're taking the probiotic and then the antibiotics just coming in and killing it,
Yeah.
But they're like already start. So even pediatricians are really starting to catch on to this now, which makes me feel better. But I'm still just thinking about how many, like my youngest daughter's turning 3 soon. And she has had so many ear infections. They thought about putting tubes in her ears. And so that's a lot of antibiotics in such a little body in such a short period of time. And I knew that and was giving them probiotics for months afterwards. But that was the thing that I learned is that if you take antibiotics and it kills up to 30 to 50% of your good bacteria, it can take months for that to fully recover, like 3 to 6 months possibly, depending on the level of damage, depending on how healthy your gut microbiome was to begin with. And so that was crazy rabbit hole to go down for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it can be fixed. You just have to understand that it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a week. It does respond quickly, but like full restoration takes a while. And so that really puts into perspective the cost, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy.
Well, because I know with some of my sinus infections, I couldn't breathe. So I'm going to take it because I can't breathe.
Yeah. If you have an abscessed tooth and you have to take, antibiotics, that could kill you. You have to take antibiotics. And then you have to repair your gut microbiome afterwards. That just is what it is. So the next one is alcohol. This one doesn't surprise me because, we know alcohol just doesn't do a lot of great things for your body.
Literally.
But a glass of wine, fine. But like if you're binging or drinking daily, this is going to tear up your gut lining. And it's just going to let toxins like that just is a huge contributor to leaky gut. So, I mean, no surprise, right?
No, definitely. There's very few positive things alcohol does.
Besides
you think that it's going to be a positive, but
yeah,
the side effects often outweigh the positive.
That is so true.
And then stress, man, stress is, it keeps coming up in everything that we do. Chronic stress kills everything. And so it slows down your digestion and it starves the good bugs. And then it has all the pathogens in there and you're having a party down there, the wrong kind of party.
Not the party you want.
You need that bouncer at the gate, at the door.
Dude.
And this with stress takes the bouncer out. The stress brings in and says, bouncer, you can go and have a break.
Right? And then
you rage.
The freaking pathogens take over the club.
And it rages. So the stress is a huge thing. And so it is very real. And we've said that on almost every biohack we've covered.
Oh my gosh, it's so true.
It does not work if you're under chronic stress. So you have to really deal with the root cause of your stress before you can move on.
A lot of nervous system healing. Like you've got to, because so many things keep us in that fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, your body's not concerned about taking care of itself. It's concerned about surviving. And so that totally makes sense to me.
Yep.
Okay. The next one is pesticides and chemicals. So we're talking about pesticides on our non-organic produce, right? And we're talking about chemicals in your tap water. These are huge things. Like there's been so many conversations in like the biohack world specifically, because that's where we're spending a lot of time talking about how many things are in your tap water that you don't even know, like toxins, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, like depending on where you are, some are worse than others, but like it's not good. And so it really should be filtered water is really what you need.
Yeah. And what we read was somewhere that there's like birth control found in water. So many women are on birth control and they're peeing it out. It was disturbing, but there's actually a website you can go and look up your zip code and it will tell you what's in your water. But Dr. Hyman says if that's one thing you can change overnight, change to filtered water, because there's so much to get out of. There's so much in the water that you think you're being healthy about that is having a negative impact. It's crazy. But to go back to what you were saying about the pesticides on your fresh produce, that is crazy. I've just learned to start rinsing them because I do a cooking class at my school. Like start rinsing. One of the moms taught me to start rinsing my fruit in vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
So just vinegar water, and then you rinse your fruit, and it is so disgusting. The water is so disgusting.
Yeah,
and if I was in a hurry,
baking soda. Like I've heard both of those.
Yes,
and you soak them for 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, and it is disturbing. Like it is literally, it's so eye-opening. If you ever want a visual about trying to teach your kids to rinse the fruit before they eat it, then you should do that and show them the water after you take it out in 5 minutes, because it is
disturbing. Absolutely. Yeah. That is so true.
So now it's just killing the good bacteria in your gut.
It builds up in your body and quietly zaps that diversity that you need. So, the last one is too much meat and too little plants. So a lot of popular diets right now are pretty low on fiber, and low fiber means that your bacteria goes hungry and then the bad guys win, because your good bacteria lives on the fiber you provide it. You have to feed that bacteria, which we can get. That's actually a great segue to talk about for a second. The difference between, because we've all heard these words probably, the difference between probiotics and prebiotics. That was very hard for me to differentiate at first. So let me put it simply, because this is actually what really helped me, is if you think about probiotics, you're taking probiotics, which would be like sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, not the high sugary kinds, like a Greek yogurt. Those types of fermented foods have good bacteria in them. So the probiotics, you're basically adding to the party. You're inviting more good bacteria to your party, right? And prebiotics, is the food that will feed the party, right? And so probiotics, you're increasing the size of your party. Prebiotics, you're feeding everybody at the party. So they're two crucial things that do different things. So I don't know how
and the
helpful
more
that is.
different type of probiotics you have, the more successful your body will be in various ways that the gut impacts.
Really, your party doesn't want just one thing. It doesn't want kale 24/7. Okay, guys? Like if you're going to have a party, they want a buffet of food. And so that's one of the things that we'll talk about later. Is the greater your diversity of food that you're providing, of fibers, of prebiotics, the greater your diversity of good bacteria that's going to do all these great things for you that we just talked about.
So make sure you eat fermented fiber, polyphenols, which are, Malerie, do you want to list a few?
Oh yeah, polyphenols are like they're plant chemicals. They're like micro plant chemicals that feed the gut bacteria, like ferments into like fatty acids that your body needs, right? And so we're talking about like berries, chocolate. It's actually in some red wines, like nuts, seeds, that sort of stuff.
Green tea.
Yeah. Coffee, black tea.
So that will help anti-inflammatory, and it helps with hormone balance and brain health and immune function and reduce inflammation. Those are the core mechanism to help your good gut bacteria.
Yes. And that is why we did this green drink challenge too in our community, right? Because a lot of green drinks provide the fiber and prebiotics that feed your beneficial bacteria. So we wanted to kind of do like a comparison of a lot of the green drinks out there in the market and have people, taste test and see how they felt about it, which turned out to be very entertaining. Larissa, you kind of spearheaded that if you want to talk about it.
In Supco, I put it all in and I wanted to add a green drink. And so AG1, I loved, but it was on the more expensive side. And since I'm such a frugal person, I was like, let me try various others. So I went on this journey on my own, and it was quite a journey. So I got all of you involved. So in our Facebook community, I asked if anybody wanted to volunteer, and there's quite a few that said yes. And so we had all sorts of things happen. A lot of our green drinks may or may not have made it to their people in various states because they might have fallen apart mid-mailing. So we got all sorts of returned and various things. And one of them, a dog got into it. And very clearly, mystery drink number 2, the dog did not like, but it loved mystery drink number 1 and mystery drink number 3. So it was very entertaining. We had families do it together. We had friends do it together. So everybody had walk of life did a mystery tasting. So they each tasted a blind tasting, and one was an inexpensive green drink, one was a mid, and one was more expensive. And all 3 of them were very good, but the cost, that I based it mainly on cost. And obviously the higher end one obviously included way more probiotics and had a lot more vitamins and a different variation. So the cost definitely outweighed the benefits of the more expensive one. But if you were on a budget, the green drinks help your biome. And so it really is good to cycle one through. And your green drink doesn't necessarily have to be a powder green drink. It could be a smoothie green drink where you just put vegetables in, fresh and fruits and different types of things. Because then that's another thing we want to talk about, is that you would do like 30 different types of fruits and vegetables to really help your biome be successful. So this is our one way of bringing in the green drinks into our community and having them taste them. And we will announce the winner of our green drinks in our blooper reel at the end. And if you want to see that, it's very entertaining. But it was very fun. Thanks for everybody for participating. It was a lot of surprises and it was fun. What did you think about it? Malerie actually got to do it with her friends.
Yeah, I actually got it in the mail, and so the envelope was damaged, but everything was still there, so it made it. But it was a great time, honestly. It was a fun activity. Like we had like a girls' day, and so I just brought that with me, and everybody I think was entertained. It was funny to see people's reactions to some of them, for sure.
I know, and some people were really opinionated about one versus the other, and then one might like it because this one's sweet, and then others are like, oh, that doesn't sweet, and they like the non-sweet one. So one of them, it was funny. Our friend Gretchen said it tastes like fresh cut grass. She's like, I feel like I just went and mowed the lawn. And it was hilarious. But then other people loved it. And that's what they chose because it seemed healthier. It was like, it was organic and fresh. And, so it was funny. everybody's different. So it says, know your body, own your health. Like that's our slogan. It's
Yep.
legit. Like everybody has a different taste bud. Everybody likes different things for various reasons. So you really got to go in and find one that you love and that really speaks to you. But cycling a green drink on your daily schedule, or not schedule, your daily routine will definitely help your microbiome. So whether it's freshly made when you blend up fresh greens or rotate it in with a powder, it's very beneficial to your microbiome.
Well, and let's talk about that. Like if you could do a 30-day gut glow protocol, like these are the things that are pretty simple that honestly I would recommend, that Larissa would recommend. The first being the green drink, right? We first and foremost, like fresh, of course, is going to be better, but we're all short on time sometimes. It's not realistic for me personally to make a green smoothie every day. I don't have time for that. So a green drink is really nice to substitute sometimes.
I agree.
Yep. And then as Larissa was saying, the next thing would be a diversity goal. And I read another book, I think it was called Fiber Fueled. And it's where it was a gut doctor, did years of research after treating patients and seeing all these issues and really just discovered how much the gut microbiome is key to so many things in your body. But one of the things he recommended in his book, which was phenomenal, was to set a goal for 30 different types of plants per week, because it turns out that like fiber is good. You want to feed your gut microbiome, but the more diverse you make it, the more diverse your good bacteria population is, which makes you just more resilient and more successful. And it does all the things that it should do better because of that diversity.
And Dr. Casey Means and Dr. Mark Hyman both also talk about this. And the part that I loved about the Good Energy book that we read was that spices matter. So because when you really try to get in 30 different types of plants a week, it is insane. It is really hard to do.
Yeah.
And I usually have a tendency to get like 10 in because these are the 10 that I like. And so I get the same 10 in, but really to expand your horizons and get the other 20 spices. So you could add in turmeric into cooking and like different things like cinnamon, like all the different spices.
Yes.
All of those count as a different one, which that was a huge relief to me. So I just wanted to throw that in. That's
great. A huge relief. And also like onions and garlic, which I put in everything, are also great prebiotics. So that feeds your gut microbiome really well. So there's a lot of things that it's not like we're like, eat, grass and your gut microbiome is going to be happy. Like, no, it's actually stuff that is pretty tasty and you can put together some really rewarding and healthy meals. But also, I think I'm a foodie, so making it interesting and new is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
To each their own.
And also in this is fermented food, which I know Malerie has already touched upon it, but daily sauerkraut, kimchi, it could be pickles, yogurt, kefir, kombucha. But the thing is it can't be sugary. It can't be super sugary.
Yep.
And
Low
it has
sugar.
to live with live cultures. So it has to be something you find in the refrigerator section. I was buying canned sauerkraut and I was buying canned or jarred pickles. And I was like, oh, I'm eating this every day. I love this. But that isn't the same. It's not fermented. It has to be in the refrigerators section with live cultures.
Yeah. Yep. And this I love because this is kind of the crux of what I'm trying to do right now to like rebuild my gut microbiome is I'm like one fermented food a day. So right now I bought a big thing of kimchi from Costco. It's delicious and tasty and spicy. And I just eat it by itself because it's so delicious. And I just do that once a day. Like sometimes it's yogurt. It just depends on the day and my mood, but I'm like one thing a day. That's not a hard thing to do. They are tasty foods. And a lot of times you can make them higher in protein or they just are kind of like a good crunchy addition to your meal.
I've been getting fermented pickles because I make my salad for lunch every day and I'll put a big pickle in it. And it's so good with my salad. I don't want to say my treat, but it is literally my treat and my salad. And I love it.
See, my problem is I like a good dill pickle with a good turkey sandwich. And that feels like it's counting. They're kind of just like, what are they, canceling each other out?
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, the next thing, support your basics. And this is one I can't stress enough. Your hydration, huge. Your stress management, getting some movement, getting some morning light, supporting your body to function the way that it needs to is crucial because then it's giving your gut microbiome less things to fight against. It's just creating less resistance for health. And so you can't ignore those, but that's for anything that we do. Health and longevity wise, you cannot ignore your basics. You have to support them.
I agree. And then always going back to your cycles, going with your cycles. I really didn't put much thought into this until going down this journey with you. And Mallory, you've always been really good about connecting with your cycles, whether it's the type of workout you do, your fasting, all the different cycles that you can do. And so, like your follicular ovulations, you eat more raw greens, your luteal phase, you eat cooked warmer food, and you eat ginger for bloating. So you can do different types of things with your cycles that will help you be successful throughout your hormonal shifts every month.
Yeah. And that's a good one to know, actually, because that's not an element that I have incorporated into my cycle, like thinking about raw greens and raw fibers in your follicular phase, and then cooking them and having warmer meals with some ginger for anti-inflammation and for bloating. Because in your luteal phase, you're a lot more likely to suffer from bloating because of your higher progesterone, right? Like, so that's an actual issue that you can kind of help counteract. So super interesting. I'm going to give it a try.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the next thing would be to track, like take note of your energy, of your mood, of your skin, of your digestion, right? Track it over 30 days while you're making these tweaks so that you can actually see and take note of any differences and improvements. Because really the way that the timeline looks is that like within a week, you might be starting to feel a little better, but it's going to take 3 to 6 before you really are going to see big changes. And so tracking every day, you can kind of watch it happen because you're paying attention.
And if you have accountability partner, if you do this with a friend, then you guys can help each other stay on track and talk about your symptoms and what you're doing as you go. And that is always beneficial. Women do better when they work together. So make sure you find your tribe and get your girlfriends together, or women or sisters or family, and do it together, because that will make you 100 times more successful immediately.
So true. And it helps manage chronic stress. We need our communities. That is so true. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to quickly recap. You need your daily green drink, whether it's fresh or powdered. You need to hit your diversity goal on a weekly basis, 30 plus different plants per week. You need to add 1 fermented food per day, whether it's sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, kefir, kombucha, fermented pickles. You need to support your basics daily, your hydration, stress management, movement, morning light. And then you can tweak for your cycle on the types of food that you eat. You're going to track it. You're going to reach out to your community. And just one last tip, ramp your fiber up slowly to avoid that initial like bloating and gas. Because when you make a big change with these types of foods, you can suffer from some of those symptoms. Totally normal when the good bacteria is fermenting and breaking down these fibers and breaking it down into like butyrate, which is something like an anti-inflammatory compound that you need. It's a good thing, but it can be uncomfortable. So if you kind of make it a gradual process, that will go smoother.
All right. Questions from the community. So our first question is, are powdered greens as effective as fresh for microbiome?
And this is where I think we did cover this, but fresh, blended, that's going to have more fiber volume. Quality powders, they will still boost your good bacteria. So it's good to rotate both or incorporate both, but I do think that the fresh is a little better. The next one, I'm on birth control. Is this still relevant?
And the answer is yes. The pill can alter your microbiome, but you still have to, feeding it is for long-term balance. So you need to make sure you're doing it even more so actually when you're on a pill. When you're doing anything, when you're taking anything, whether it's a sinus medicine, whether it's birth control, when you're taking anything into your body, you have to make sure you're proactive and being on top of your probiotics and your prebiotics to make sure you have a healthy balance.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, let's wrap up here. I feel like I've gone on enough tangents today.
We're really good at tangents.
We're great at it. We're so great. Okay. Your gut microbiome. It is the behind the scenes regulator of your hormones, your mood, your skin, and your energy for women. So we cannot forget this. This is a major biohack.
All right. And don't forget to feed it daily with fiber-rich greens and fermented foods for big wins.
And your good bacteria, like 90 to 95% of your serotonin is gut made. So diversity is key to balance.
And make sure you are consistent with it. Consistent wins with any biohack you do. You have to be consistent with it. Try for the next 30 days, like pick some habits. Are you going to try to do 1 fermented food a day? Are you going to try to do 30 different fruits and vegetables or plants a week? try to add and incorporate that slowly over time. Maybe add one this month, and then maybe the next month, maybe add a different one, and continue to grow. And you'll really see the process and the benefits in your health and overall microbiome happiness.
And remember, ladies, our mission is simple: to help you truly know your body and take ownership of your health, one biohack at a time. Our own family health curveballs have pushed us deep into this journey, and wow, what we've learned has changed everything for us. Now we're here to share it with as many women as possible. If this episode lit a spark for you or made you think of an incredible woman in your life, please share it, hit like, spread the glow, and bring some real health inspiration to the women in your life. And don't forget that we regularly offer free PDF guides and worksheets. Check out our blog. It's at mywellnessrewired.com/blog. And you can sign up for any of our freebies by topic. We'll catch you guys next time.
She's getting it. Get it, girl. Oh, yeah. Did you see that chalky bottom? You see that?
So, do you think that there is a connection between people who are on what is that called? You know, when the doctor gives you something?
Antibiotics?
Thank you. Do you think that there's a correlation that, like, when a doctor gives you oh my gosh, what is it?
Antibiotics?
Do you think that there's a correlation?
We have to restart. That was like a 2-second gap and you forgot the word.
And I blame you. I still forgot it again. Antibiotics.
Antibiotics. Okay. All right, you wellness rock stars. That's a wrap on this episode of My Wellness Rewired, Hacking Women's Health. We've had a blast dishing out the hacks and laughs, but hold up, let's keep it real.
Yep, we are not doctors. We are just sharing our biohacking adventures and learning right alongside you. Nothing we say is medical advice, so always, always check with your healthcare provider before trying any new wellness tricks.
Absolutely. This podcast is all about inspiration and entertainment, not prescriptions. So join our Facebook group for more sassy wellness vibes. Catch you next time.